What if the thing keeping you broke isn't your job or your lack of skills, but your fear of looking stupid? One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. Nietzsche. Think about that for a second. Chaos, shame, embarrassment. Maybe those aren't flaws. Maybe they're the price of admission. Ever tried something new and felt like an idiot? That's me in 2019, sitting in front of a webcam, recording my first business pitch for a client. I watched it back and cringed so hard I almost deleted my whole laptop. My voice cracked. I said, like 58 times. My shirt collar was doing its own thing, but I sent it anyway. Now I make money online, I run my own thing, but none of that started until I swallowed that first dose of embarrassment. Let's be real, most people never do. Here's what we think. We think the world is fair, that the best ideas win, that talent rises naturally, that if you're smart and you work hard, you'll make it. But that's not how this works. The truth? The people who win in today's economy are the ones who are willing to be seen losing, publicly, awkwardly, over and over. Not because they enjoy failing, but because they know something deeper. And here's where Nietzsche comes in. Most people think of him as dark and moody. And yeah, he kinda was. But what he really did? He told the truth about how uncomfortable real growth is. He saw shame, failure, and chaos not as problems but as filters. And those filters decide who gets to rise. Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." Let's break that down. When you have a reason, when you're chasing something meaningful, you can handle the awkwardness, the cringe, the judgment. You don't like it, but you can bear it. Because embarrassment is the toll you pay to cross the bridge from where you are to where you want to be. Let me show you how this works in real life. There's a girl on TikTok, early 20s, not polished at all. She starts posting videos about skincare routines. The lighting's bad. Her transitions are worse. The comments are brutal. But she keeps posting. A year later, she's got brand deals. She's making more than most 9-to-5s. Why? Not because she was the best, but because she kept showing up even when it hurt. That pain, that shame, that was the filter. And most people tapped out. She didn't. Nietzsche again. What does not kill me makes me stronger. We quote that all the time like it's just about pain or hard times. But what if it's also about embarrassment? What if every time you feel exposed, awkward, laughed at, you're actually getting stronger? Not just emotionally, but economically. Because every moment of shame you survive makes you someone who can take bigger swings. And the people who take bigger swings, they get access to bigger rewards. Here's the short version. Embarrassment is not failure, it's the entry fee. But there's something Nietzsche said that cuts even deeper. Something about why most people never cross that line. Stick around, because what we're about to explore next might explain why your comfort zone is more dangerous than you think. Nietzsche once wrote, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe." That's a heavy quote. Let's unpack it. When you step out, start something new, post something weird, say something unpopular, you're not just risking failure. You're risking rejection from the tribe. Your friends, your family, your followers. They might laugh. They might judge. They might go silent. And that's terrifying. Because humans are wired to belong, to stay inside the group. Being embarrassed? That's our brain warning us. You're stepping too far out. They might not accept you anymore. But here's the thing Nietzsche understood. The tribe wants safety. And safety is where dreams go to die. If you want leverage, freedom, wealth, you have to be willing to be misunderstood. Let me give you an example. There was this guy selling a digital course on how to grow tomatoes in small apartments. Weird, right? His first ads were so cringe. He stood in a kitchen with one tomato plant and said, "This changed my life." People roasted him. Comments were brutal. But the next week, he made another ad. Then another. Then another. 6 months later, that guy made 50 from a random niche no one cared about. Not because the idea was genius, but because he could stomach the embarrassment that filtered everyone else out. And that's the deeper point. Embarrassment doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means you're early. Let me ask you this. What have you not done just because you didn't want to look weird? Seriously. Think about the video you haven't posted, the idea you haven't pitched, the account you haven't started. Now ask yourself, who benefits when you stay quiet? Probably not you. Nietzsche also wrote, "Become who you are." At first glance, that sounds basic. But it's not. It's actually terrifying. Because becoming who you are means shedding the version of you that keeps people comfortable. The nice version. The polished version. The version that never gets laughed at. You ever notice how we admire bold people, but refuse to be them? We say things like, "I could never do that." But why not? What's the actual reason? Usually, it's not lack of talent. It's the fear of not being liked on the way up. A friend of mine launched a new product. Her first webinar, 3 people showed up. 1 was her cousin, 1 was her ex. Brutal. She almost quit. But she remembered that, quote, "Become who you are, not the version of herself that plays small, but the version who keeps showing up messy, loud, imperfect until she figures it out." Now, she runs a 6-figure business. And yeah, people listen now. But the crowd didn't come until she stopped begging for their approval. Self-referential comment. You might be wondering, okay, but isn't this just hustle talk in disguise? No. This isn't about working harder. It's about getting comfortable with discomfort. Because Nietzsche wasn't preaching grind. He was preaching becoming. Shedding everything that's false even if it hurts. And here's the deal most people don't see. Embarrassment is the knife that carves off your false self. If you let it, every awkward pitch, every ignored post, every side-eye at the family dinner, it cuts off what's fake. And what's left? Someone who can't be bought. Someone who's already been embarrassed and lived. Wealth isn't just money. It's freedom from needing anyone's permission to show up. And embarrassment? That's the training ground. Let's talk about the cost of avoiding embarrassment. You know what it looks like? It looks like someone sitting on a couch at 60, scrolling past videos of people doing what they once dreamed of. Not more talented, not smarter. Just less afraid to look stupid at the beginning. It looks like never releasing the song, never starting the business, never telling the truth. And the real punch? No one even remembers what you were trying to protect yourself from. The people whose opinions scared you, they moved on. And you're the one left holding regret. Nietzsche wrote, "The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die." If you never let yourself be cringy, if you never shed the fear of looking wrong, you don't grow. You just survive quietly. Here's the truth. You can protect your pride, or you can build your future. But you can't do both. Here are 3 things Nietzsche helped us see today. 1. Embarrassment is not a signal to stop. It's a signal you're on the edge of real transformation. The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. 2. If you avoid looking foolish, you also avoid becoming who you really are. Become who you are. 3. The longer you delay discomfort, the more expensive it becomes. The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die. And now, here's your move. Do one thing this week that makes you squirm. Post the awkward video. Pitch the idea you've been sitting on. Stand up in a room and say what you really think. Not because it's perfect, but because it's real. And that's enough. You grow by paying the emotional cost now, so you don't live with emotional debt later. Let me leave you with this final Nietzsche line. No price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. Sit with that. And tell me this in the comments. What's one thing you haven't done just because you were scared to look dumb? say it out loud. Name it. That's where the leverage begins. If this hit you, like it, comment, subscribe if you haven't, and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming. Not for algorithms, for you, because there's more where this came from. See you in the next one.